Welcome to Sharika Talks, Unraveling the Truth, a journalist's quest. Subscribe for the truth.
Chapter 32, The Keeper of Secrets. Sharika bent over her laptop, her eyes darting across articles about invisible inks. Most of them, she read, were ultraviolet-based. Under a UV lamp, the letters would glow. But that can't be it, she thought. She was sure this was something else. Then came thermochromic inks, heat-sensitive. Letters appearing only when exposed to 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. That seemed closer. She decided the torn page from the paper airplane would be her test subject. She remembered the menstrual cup sterilizer in her bag, which used high-pressure steam to kill germs. She still remembered the relief when she'd switched to a menstrual cup, how much simpler her life had become. She took out the sterilizer, opened it, and removed the menstrual cup from it. Then she filled the sterilizer with water, plugged it in, waited until the hiss of steam curled out, and carefully held the page over it. She adjusted the distance. Minutes passed, nothing. She turned it off, lips tightening. Steam isn't enough. I need something hotter. Hotter than boiling water. She thought about an electric iron, but decided against asking Adam for one. She didn't want to raise any suspicion. The only other way was fire. Taking the lighter from her tactical kit, she lit a small fire in the room's fireplace. She couldn't burn the page, but she could try holding it far enough from the flame to activate the ink without igniting the paper. For 10 minutes, she tried, carefully adjusting the distance. The only result was a thin layer of black soot covering the page. No letters. She carefully brushed the soot off on her top, deep in thought. Her top was now embroidered with the black smudge from the paper, but she didn't notice anything. Frustration tightened her chest. I need more than 100 degrees, but without burning the paper. And then, like a whisper from somewhere beyond, the thought came. She took out the Swiss knife from her tactical kit and, with practiced hands, opened the 4 screws on the back of the electric room heater. There it was, the heating coil, capable of reaching temperatures up to 600 degrees Celsius without a single flame. She had to be careful. With less than a minute of trial and error, she found the perfect distance. Held about 15 centimeters from the glowing red element, faint letters began to appear on the paper. They stayed visible for almost 10 seconds before vanishing. Plenty of time for her to snap a photo with her phone. It was more than 5 years ago that I met Mikio Yahara Sensei, my Japanese grandmaster, at the National Training Camp. I had read stories about this former world champion of karate. In the 1990s, after he started a security agency, he was attacked by the infamous Yakuza gang in a parking lot. He was alone and unarmed. He single-handedly defeated all 34 attackers with his extensive experience in Shotokan karate. Until I met him, I wasn't sure I believed that story. But in the camp, the 68-year-old master's abilities made me realize it was possible. And today, I am glad I started practicing Shotokan karate, and even gladder that I attended that camp. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here to write this, Deepa. That's how brutal the encounter I faced today was. As you know, the fight happens in a semi-conscious way, so the details will only come after some time as recollections. But I survived and was... Her fingers trembled. The mention of Deepa confirmed it was Sachin's. A fresh drop of tear oozed from her eyes because of joy. She could now find the story of the man who saved her. The next hour and a half was a continuous, repetitive process. She meticulously held each page of the diary over the heating coil, snapping a photo the moment the text appeared. She never felt bored. When all the pages were scanned, she reassembled the heater, closed the diary, and stared into the fireplace for a long time. She wanted to dive into Sachin's story immediately, but she knew if she started, she wouldn't be able to prepare the questions for Sheila's interview the next day. Remembering her mentor's sharp words, she forced her excitement down and started working. Her mind, now clear and focused by the promise of what was to come, worked efficiently. She finished the comprehensive list of interview questions by 3 a.m. and emailed it to Sheila. She took a deep breath. Now it was time. She didn't feel tired. Sleep was miles away. She wanted to know the truth. She copied all the scanned pages to her laptop, arranged them in chronological order, and began to read from the start. Some pages were half torn, others entirely missing, but she was sure of one thing. Before dawn broke, she would finally know who Sachin really was, at least fragments of the truth. At that very moment, thousands of kilometers away, Sachin lowered himself into bed after a day that had drained both his body and his fortune. This new venture, he estimated, would consume nearly a quarter of his entire net worth. Yet still, he had no choice. For the greater good, some sacrifices had to be made. He was sure the return he got from this would be worth it. He leaned back, staring at the distant horizon beyond the balcony. In that silence, memories came unbidden. The endless days of his youth when he had nothing to eat, when hunger gnawed at him so violently that he thought it would consume him whole. That was when he first learned the true price of food, the weight of survival. And even now, decades later, with wealth enough to feed nations, he carried that scar like a shadow on his soul. His eyes drifted to Aparna and Reshmi, peacefully asleep in the next bed. They don't know. They mustn't know. It was better this way. If they ever learned what he was planning, what they were already entangled in, it would break them. He didn't know how long this new battle would last, or if he would survive it, but he looked forward to the day it ended. With a weary sigh, he finished the last sip of his drink and climbed under the sheets, completely oblivious that, at that very moment, a girl who he once saved from a petty thief 2 years ago was about to pierce through the armor he had built for decades. Her eyes would fall upon the one relic he thought no one would ever see. The diary he had gifted to Alice the previous year to stop her cry, something he never thought he would ever do. The same diary Deepa had gifted him on his 13th birthday. End of chapter 32. End of part 3. The Tale of a Tiger and the Trail of a Shadow.
Thank you for watching Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest. Subscribe to stay updated on Sharika's journey. Stay tuned for the next part.
Disclaimer. Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest is a work of fiction. The experiences, ideas, and theories presented by the characters, including the books they write, are purely fictional and do not reflect real-world events, beliefs, or ideologies. While some incidents and characters may be inspired by real-world scenarios, they are entirely fictionalized for storytelling purposes. The author does not endorse or share the viewpoints expressed by any character in this novel. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised.